Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and man, it has been a long time since I made a video here on YouTube, and that's not for no reason. I've been extremely busy for the last month or so, kind of reorganizing two different rooms in my house. The first one, which you're obviously seeing in this video right now, which is the fact that I have converted what used to be dining room slash, I don't know, there was a bunch of arcades in there. You guys have seen the videos before where I had a dining room table and I had like my big buck hunter in there and a bunch of other arcade machines because there were huge machines and I didn't really have room for them in the basement with the rest of the machines. But it always bothered me because I'm the type of person that likes specific things in a specific area. So if I have a big party here and someone says, I want to play board games, then hey, go to this room. Or hey, I want to play arcades, go to this particular room. Or hey, I want to play retro gaming, go to this particular room. Or I just want to relax and watch a movie, then hey, go to this particular room. And that's kind of how I, like, in my head, figured my home to be. But this always had like the, not only was it an eyesore because obviously there was these huge machines sitting in the dining room, that didn't really match the room, but it also was really crowded when people came over because there was a dining room table in the middle, so it didn't leave a lot of open space to play these games either. So it was always something I was looking at, but I never really had any ideas on, like, besides just getting rid of a bunch of stuff in the basement that I didn't want to do, I didn't really have an idea of how to make it work. Well, for the last month, I figured out a way to make it work, and this was not only an idea that I had to make the flow of the house better, so I didn't have to, worry about people coming over and be like, damn, you have these gigantic machines in the dining room. I don't have to worry about that anymore. But the flow was better of the house, the fact that there's more room now and stuff to play these arcades and stuff. But I actually think that this just looks a lot better, and I'm really excited to show you guys what this room turned out to look like, the old dining room slash arcades, and if you guys have been following the channel, what this room now looks like and what it's turned into. The whole room has changed, new furniture, new ideas, new table, new everything, and I'm really happy with, exactly how this thing turned out. And of course, there's a part 2 to this that we will be doing here in the next couple of weeks because I'm waiting for at least one more thing to come in before I show you. Which is my pinball machine that I've talked about on this channel before. That's supposed to be my last pinball machine that I'm getting, and that's supposed to be coming this month. There is actually something else that I'm getting, but that kind of got delayed into October, more than likely, so I don't think I'm going to wait for that to make the video. I'll just talk about that one when I make the video and tell you guys what's going to be there and do an update to it, but I at least want to get this pinball machine in. That kind of completes most of the room, but I'm really excited about that room. It's already, it's kind of done in the sense that I can't do anything else. But I'm waiting for those two pieces, and I can't wait to show you guys that. But again, today we're here to talk about this room, and to tell you guys why I've been gone for a month, because there's been a lot of rearranging, a lot of, hiring movers to move things from up and down from these arcades that are obviously big machines that we'll talk about, and moving things upstairs and buying pieces of furniture and building them, reorganizing, selling some stuff off to, purchase some of these things. It's been crazy, but I'm officially done with all of that, so we are back to making videos like usual on a weekly cadence, sometimes multiple videos a week, like this week for sure, to try and do some catch up. And I'm excited to be back and doing videos all over again. It's been a little month off of doing a lot of other things instead, but let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech, going for a brekkie is the gaming tech, is the gaming techie.
All right, guys, so here is the grand reveal of the new dining room, and man, this is a gigantic difference of what it was before, and we're going to talk about everything in this video that has changed and why it's changed. So before, it used to be, for those of you guys who keep part of the channel, there was a bunch of arcades here. We had the Big Buck Hunter right here at the entranceway. We had the Retro Raccoons here in the middle. We had Golden Tee, the pedestal with arcade collections sitting right here. We had an II arcade sitting there in the corner. Lots of changes, obviously, in this room. This here is my original board game table that used to be downstairs, but obviously some things have changed about it, which we will talk about. And yeah, so this room, obviously before, like I said, was supposed to be the dining room table that I had here. I did get rid of it, but obviously replaced it with a different style table that we'll talk about. But I think the biggest thing is the fact that I see this room and I can't believe that there's no arcade machines in here. Now, of course, the only way to make this stuff work and get those machines downstairs and not have to sell a bunch of things to make it work is, what was I going to turn this room into? Because obviously that was the reason why I couldn't put those arcades downstairs. And what I figured out, as you can see here, is that we turned it into a dining room board game combo, which of course flows much better to what a dining room is supposed to be, especially with this table that we're going to talk about here, which is the whole point of it. And obviously it doesn't have the issues of like not having enough room to walk around and play these arcades or anything like that. And when someone comes over, it makes more sense. It's like, hey, why do you have these board games over here while you're showing them off? And the idea is like, hey, because this is a dining room table, we can eat on here, but you lift the cover off and then you got a board game table underneath, which we'll talk about. Really, really like it. But before we get into the details of everything, I'm going to start off with two things. Two things that were not here in time before I made this video that I need to do, so you guys are aware of it right off the bat on this video, that, you know, just didn't come in time and I didn't feel like waiting. The first thing is, this is the old Pac-Man sign that was here when there was video games in here and arcades. This is being replaced with a giant meeple. It's basically the same size as this that I got 3D printed from someone, but it's coming from international, so it's taken a while. I don't know when I'm gonna get it, probably within the next week or two, and I didn't feel like waiting for this video. So this won't be here anymore because it doesn't make sense because there's no video games in here, and it's gonna be replaced with a meeple instead. So I think that will match perfectly. Of course, this will stay here as is. And then the other thing that you guys may be questioning up here is a picture of me at a communion. And when I was, you know, a little kid, and that will definitely be replaced. I wanted to figure out what to put up there, and the frame is a good idea. I'm gonna have that picture. I gotta take a picture of myself. Basically, I'm gonna take the top off of this and have like the UrGamingTechie sign that you guys have seen underneath this table, kind of sit behind it and have a board game in front of me and kind of make that go up there. And I think that kind of makes sense. So if you guys are questioning why there's a communion picture in here, that is the idea of what that is doing up there. Everything else, though, is here, ready, and pretty much done. So let's start off and talk about these board game shelves. So before, you know, downstairs, I had these gigantic white shelves that I had. And now, obviously, I threw all of those out. There were IKEA Kallax shelves that I got downstairs, and there was a lot of them. So, you know, I got rid of them all, threw them all out because some of them had a little bit of water damage and stuff. To dismantle all of them and bring them up the stairs up here and stuff was just not worth the time and effort. So I got rid of all that and, you know, obviously bought these black Kallax shelves instead. And since this is a dining room, a little bit more formal, I decided to, instead of just having all of these shelves open, I was like, all right, let me feature my favorite games on the top and not have anything on top like I did downstairs. Like on top downstairs, I put all of my big board games, you know, sitting up here that don't fit in these shelves, but I actually put those in the closet in the other room, and I know that they're in there. Because basically what I did is, so I don't have to go through and look inside these shelves to see where my games are, I put a little note in my BGG, and when I look up games that I want to play, and it's like, hey, you want to play Star Wars or whatever, or Creature Comforts, it's on shelf 10, and I know that that means cube 10, and I go in here, and then I know, hey, Creature Comforts is sitting back there, and I don't have to like scour through all of these games to see where they might be hiding, because I obviously have a lot. And I know where those games are, so it makes it really easy to find games when I have that note in there. But I also had to downsize. You guys know that I had a lot more shelves than this before. I had two big shelves of this across from each other, and then I had one of these long ones that was like an 8, and two of these. So I literally downsized half of my board games. I think I sold like 250 games that I had before, and that was pretty hard. I had to go through my games, I think 3 or 4 times before I finally decided what to get rid of and what wasn't being played and what I wanted to keep. I'm at a point right now where, you know, if I want to get a game, for the most part, I don't have any shelves that are empty. So something's going to have to go if I decide to get a new game that's any sort of like, you know, big game. But I think that's perfectly fine. I think that kind of curates your collection, and you're like, hey, this game's old, it's not getting played, or it's never been played, sell it, make the money back, and then go get another game. And I think that's perfectly fine. And now I have still, like, even though I got rid of like 250 games, I still have like 250 games sitting here. So there's still a lot between all of these shelves here. Then I have the shelf over there in the other room, like I said, where the big games are that don't fit on these shelves. And then I actually have a couple of games stored in this shelf down here as well. But yeah, this worked out really well. Like I said, I got these shelves with the closed doors in front of it, so it gave it a little bit more of a sophisticated look for a dining room, since I wanted this to look like a dining room first, as opposed to just a board game room. So I thought the shelves in the front with the black nature would kind of go with it and make it look a little bit nicer than just having all the games being shown off. So basically what I have here is my 10 favorite games currently that I have here on top that I decided to feature. So starting off here on the right, I did keep the poster that I had downstairs, but I actually framed it. Downstairs it wasn't framed. This is a custom poster that I got, created on Etsy for me, and it has like some of the call outs to some of my favorite games. It says, in this house, things can get dicey, referring to dice games, obviously. Our colony works together, which is, of course, referring to Dead of Winter, that's sitting over there in the corner. We place workers and build decks, that's a general thing. We clank in space, obviously sitting right here. Betrayal never goes unpunished, so that's any betrayal game, like Feed the Kraken that's sitting right there. We connect cities and complete tickets. Tickets for Ride sitting right there in the corner. We live the life we always wanted. That is Pursuit of Happiness, and that is a gigantic box that couldn't fit here, unfortunately, so that is in the closet in the other room. And then we are champions of Zeta City, a game that a lot of people have not heard of, but I think is fantastic, which is Heroes Wanted. That should technically be featured in my top 10. Which it might, when I find it in the shelf, I might swap it with Overboss and put that there instead. Kind of wanted this here because it's like a video game style thing, so it's cool, but it probably should be there because that game is amazing. And then it says, in this house we are board gamers. So super awesome poster. And then I have this one here featuring Will Wheaton from when they were doing Tabletop. I used to love watching that on YouTube and watched every single episode. So sad that he doesn't do that anymore. But this is a great poster to have on here on the side that I also had downstairs, but I also framed that it wasn't framed before. So obviously, with this being more of a little bit more of a nicer room, I wanted to get things framed up. And then here on the bottom, just a little simplistic design, a little bit of, red and stuff like that, just to add something there. And then the board game books that I have, the 2 that have come out. I don't know if there's a volume 3 coming of that, but that's a pretty cool book to go through and see all the featured board games that are out there over the years. And then this right here is called Oliveira Game Mashup, and this is actually a board game I created. I always like people coming over and being able to play a bunch of different things, but the time doesn't allow for it. So what I did is I created a Oliveira Game Mashup, which is a Mario Party style board game where I took a bunch of board games that I have that are mini games, and I basically took them and, created a Mario Party style board game where you're playing different mini games that are involved in a board game. Like if it's a board game like Smartass, for example, that's sitting right there. You might have to answer 1 or 2 trivia questions from that, or specific games that, lend yourself to being able to play them in 10 or 15 minutes. Obviously, this game takes a long time to play. It's like 4 or 5 hours long the last time that we played to get to 20, stars or 20 points and stuff like, or 20 rounds, sorry, 20 turns and stuff, just like Mario Party. But it lets people play a variety of different board games, even if it's not the full length of it, which is fun to do sometimes. It's not always what I want to do, but it is fun to do it every once in a while. And I add more cards to it when I get more board games that make sense. And then I also have a variation of it that's also in that box that lets me do that with all my video games. So a bunch of video games on my arcades or a bunch of random other video games and stuff like that. If you guys want to see a video on that more in detail, I can definitely make one. But the people who come over with that definitely had a lot of fun because I incorporate the video game one with a lot of different things in my house, like even VR and stuff like that to see who wins. And it just lets people experience a lot of variety of stuff. Again, these are my top 10 here. All the shelves are, of course, like I said, filmed with board games and stuff, which is cool. If I ever want that, they're right there. A bunch of different things hiding. I pack these shelves as much as they can actually go because I obviously forgot that like when you add a door, that means you're going to lose some shelf space, which I kind of forgot about. But either way, it works, as you guys can see. And then on top here, got the little play sign that actually used to be up there, which obviously didn't make sense anymore in there because I didn't want that to be the focal point when you walk in. So I moved that around, and now we have the play sign up here with the blinks. Unfortunately, they went out of business, but the blinks product is really cool, so I'm glad to have them. So we have that sitting right there. And then we have look at faces, not devices, which is perfect for them like this with 2 little flowers for decoration there. And then over here in the corner, we have a little pegboard that I got just to hang some of the stuff for board games, just to add a little bit more different thing going on over here. So we got, some of these sitting right here. This talks about stuff board game spouses say. Wait, how much is it? And what Kickstarter is this now? Just different things that they say, and then stuff that board gamers say as well, which is pretty cool. We got these things to organize some bits like the dice. This is like actually some pieces that were missing in a game that I forgot to put back in the box that were found later. So I have them here. So when I find that game, I can put them back in there. And then some more dice, some markers, and washable markers and stuff, because God knows how many board games use markers and stuff. And all that is kind of ready to go there. And then I actually got to keep this. I didn't want to make this the focal point again when you walk in the room, so it's kind of hiding from when you walk in because you can't see it, like you guys didn't see it from that angle because it hides in the corner. But over here, I got to keep my Oliveira board game, so I got that custom made, so I didn't really want to get rid of it, but I didn't want it to be, again, to make this room feel like it was just another board game room. I wanted it to feel like it's a combination of a dining room and a board game. Then over here is my drop mix game. I love this. It has a little speaker here that you can play. And then I have, some flowers over here to kind of spice it up a little bit. But we got the drop mix cards there in the back. I love drop mix. If you guys have not seen it, I did do a video on it on my channel. I still love that thing, even though Harmonix doesn't make it anymore, but I still own all their cards, or most of the cards. Still working on getting a few sets. Then over here, I just got a little Wi-Fi thing to scan if you want to scan for Wi-Fi. And then this is how you add your high score to board games. You can scan this and add your high scores if you want, depending on what we're actually playing. This TV here obviously was used for Golden Tee before. It kind of stayed here. Nothing else is on this wall. I don't know if this wall needs anything else with the way it's designed. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below if you think this wall can use something. Let me know. Let me know your thoughts if this wall needs some decoration thing, and if you guys have ideas on what I can put on this wall, then definitely leave those comments. I'd love to hear from people and their opinions on that. This white thing is, of course, unfortunately hiding the cables from the Chromecast that's sitting there and the power cable that's going there in the back because I didn't want to open up holes right now. Might figure out a better solution later, but at least it's not like, at least the cables are semi-organized as opposed to, having dangling them all over the place. So better than what it could be, or what it would be if it wasn't there. Really quickly, guys, as soon as I filmed this video, the next day after, I decided to fix those cables I was talking about. So I got this thicker version of the cable thing that they sell at Home Depot, and then I actually painted it the same wall color. So you can see, obviously, at the end there, you have the power cable that has to be there. There's no way to hide the whole entire thing with the bricks and stuff, but I got to, hide the cables there to go towards the back and these cables, so it looks much better than what you guys just saw with it being painted the same color as the wall. And I actually did the exact same thing over here with this iPad that I use for the thing. You can see that I put like one there and then one there that goes to the end there. That makes it a little bit more tidy than what you guys saw with the white cable dangling before. Same thing over here. I added one next to here. I had to actually buy longer cables because it wouldn't reach to go all the way to the bottom from there. So I have those coming in a couple days. But I got that ready and all painted, and then the cable will go from there right to there. So it will look a lot neater than it was before. So I just want to let you guys know that. For those of you guys who might scream at me at the comments when you saw it the way it was before, much better looking now. All right, moving over to, we'll leave the table here to last. We'll go to this corner here. This is an olive tree, which is great. It has like little fake olive grapes and stuff like that on it. So I really like this. To add some, greenery in the room like people like to do. We talked about that already on what that's going to be looking like. Really like this little sign here. The fondest memories are made when gathered around the table. Great frame for either a dining room or a board game room, which is great since this is a combo room. We've got an air conditioner here. And then this was the only thing that didn't leave the room. This is a dartboard that I had on here. And I didn't really have any room for it downstairs with the new room that I've been creating. And I didn't really want to obviously get rid of it. I love this thing. You can play online darts with anybody in the world. Has the iPad screen there ready to go. And there's actually more room now to play it because this table's a little bit smaller than the other one. So when you're playing, you don't have to like move things out of the way. I used to have a bench here and stuff. So now it's actually really easy to just come here and throw a dart and you don't have to worry about like, the table being in the way, which actually makes it easier to play. But then I was okay with it because I realized that like this has always been a themed bar, but I don't have the original bar thing that I had here that was obviously matching the old table. I got rid of that, and now I have one that is black that obviously matches. This is from Raymond and Flanagan that I got, and this is how I have the bar set up, and I think it looks really, really good right now with the way it looks, and much better than what it looked like before. If you guys remember my old room, it used to be Mega Touches that were on top of here. I used to have a Mega Touch sitting right here and a JVL touchscreen that I had on here. The JVL got sold because I didn't want two of the same machines anymore that were kind of replicating each other, so I sold that off. And then the Mega Touch, well, that's in the other room that you guys will see in the future of this channel on how that turned out. But this obviously looks more like a bar now, and then of course the bar and the darts kind of go, so I felt like that was fine to leave on there. And then I left this little bar game that kind of adds like some element, and it actually looks cool on here in my opinion. If you guys have not heard of this game, I think it's called Craggy, if I'm remembering correctly, or at least that's the company. Maybe the game's not called that, but the company's that. And again, it's like a ring toss game where you have to take these and like toss it and try to hoop it in there before the other person and stuff. It's a really, really fun game. And obviously goes with the bar theme. And then, of course, with my 2 mugs that we have on there from my teams. And then, the Budweiser stuff. Here's another Wi-Fi sign if people see that. And then the Zoltar thing, I kind of liked it because it actually matched. I didn't really have room for it downstairs. This is the New Wave Toys one that I did a review on. And I liked it on here because it still matches like this kind of, this color wood and stuff. It actually, by accident, matches that kind of perfectly. So I thought it added like something different to the table and stuff. And I thought it kind of went well there. So that's why that's there. And it matches with the bar sign up there too. So got a little bar sign with a bunch of like caps and stuff from the beer. And then of course, all the alcohol is kind of sitting up there that I have, some Game of Thrones stuff, Malibu, my favorite, alcoholic drink up there and stuff like that. And really, really like this black furniture piece from Raymore and Flanagan. I was really shocked on how cheap this was. It was like $500 for a thing of this size and for Raymore and Flanagan. And the wood is really solid. Everything was already built when it got here. So it wasn't like IKEA stuff that you have to build yourself. None of that. This came built. And then, of course, I just store stuff here for the kitchen that need to be stored here. Like some of this stuff when it's ready to eat dinner. And then we got some stuff here like forks and knives from extra ones and shot glasses and stuff like that. This is some extra board game stuff that I obviously don't have drawers over there, so I needed a drawer to put some of these extra things like this that goes with that game there that I didn't want on the table. Some other odds and ends that you need for board games that are in here and some of the darts and stuff like that for the dart board. These are the board games. There's a few board games in here hiding, but then more importantly, this is like the tops, the corners of the table. For the board game table, when you want to actually play board games, like these shelves and stuff that you guys have seen me talk about, the accessories that they made for that game theory table, they're kind of hiding in here until I need them. And then this is a wine rack. I'm not really much of a wine drinker. I don't know exactly what I'm going to put in there right now, but it's cool look. And then some extra, Halloween and Christmas stuff in there that don't get used all the time. So really, really like the way that this bar area turned out. Obviously, let me know your opinions on everything that you guys see in this room. If you guys have an ulterior opinion on what I can change or do, except for telling me sell that piece of furniture and get something else, because I wouldn't do. But if you have a better idea of how to set something up or something I could add, I'm always open to that kind of stuff and seeing what people think. But in my opinion, I think this bar area, I really, really like the way that it looks with that flower in the middle and the gray like tone matching and the brown and stuff like that. But that's just, of course, a guy's opinion. And then, of course, we come around to the main thing, which is the dining room table. Now, this is the same game room theory table that I've had before, but because it was in a board game room only downstairs before, I never actually bought the top, as you can see here. Now I actually have the dining room tabletop. And what's really cool, and if I move this out of the way here for a second, is that it comes in 4 pieces, as you can see. And what's really nice is that these 4 pieces, if you guys can tell, if you line them up correctly, you will actually see that the ingrained wood will actually match. So it's not like they don't match, they actually go together on all the different pieces if you line them up correctly. So it adds that extra detail and stuff, and it looks really, really good. It feels really sturdy. This is made all out of mahogany wood. So wood is really nice. It arrived in perfect condition, no issues with it, and it really elevates the table. And then of course, the idea is, hey, you're eating dinner on the top of this board game table, and boom, you're eating here. And then when you're ready to play a game, what's awesome about these tables is that if I just lift this up, as you can see, you got the table underneath. I'm not going to take all the pieces out because you guys get the idea, and you've seen my board game table before, but there it is right there in the cup holders. I did remove from here because it makes this a little bit wobbly in the sense that... not that it wobbles, but like if I did this, see how right now you don't hear any noise and it's not like moving because it's perfectly on there. If the cup holders were on there and I did this, it would kind of like move a little bit. So I was like, screw it, just move those 2. Same thing on the other side and then you're good. These don't move at all. These are perfect as is, even with the cup holders on it. But the ones on the ends needed that to go on there. But yeah, I really, really love the way that this mahogany wood looks with the, the ingrained wood and stuff like that. It looks really, really nice on this table. I'll move this here back to the way it was. And then to add a little bit of a centerpiece here, I thought this was really cool. I found this on Pinterest online and stuff like that. Added some big dice in here to kind of give it a little bit of an element there with this runner here. And then we got this little flower pot with some flowers up there. And then I got this little candle here, which I thought was pretty cool. The smell of a new board game. It doesn't obviously smell like a new board game. It's more of a gag thing, but it works perfectly in this room. It just smells like a candle with the scent that I purchased, but it's still really cool to have that in the middle, and I think it adds a really good look to it. Now, these chairs are the same exact chairs that I had downstairs on the board game table. They do not look that bad on here, but I think eventually, maybe at the end of this year, towards December, depending on how money goes, or maybe early next year, I will probably get actual dining room chairs. I'm contemplating on getting the ones that these guys sell. Game Theory Tables does make chairs specifically that matches this wood and this table. They are really expensive. It's like $300 for 2 chairs plus shipping. And obviously I would need 6. So it's like $900 plus shipping on just the chairs. But I know it's like a one-time purchase, so I'm thinking about it. We'll see what happens towards the end of the year next year. And if I do that, I'll do a quick review on the chairs for you guys, because I haven't seen anybody talk about the Game Theory Tables chairs at all. I've seen other people talk about the table like I've reviewed before. But yeah, I think it turned out really, really good in this room. I hope you guys, enjoyed, this video and stuff like that. Put myself on camera here. But I think everything came out really good in here. Much better, much better than the way it was before. I mean, we all got to admit that. I mean, this room before was not exactly, not that I really cared, because it was, my home and I liked, it was just me, but it was always like that nuisance of like, hey, this guy has like gigantic arcade machines in a dining room where people are trying to also eat on the table at the same time if I had a bunch of people over. And, there wasn't a lot of room for these arcades to actually enjoy them, because there was not a lot of room in this room for a giant arcades next to a gigantic table. So this kind of separates the space, and now it's like, hey, this is a dining room table first, and with a little bar nook on the back and stuff like that to eat. And then I got the board games here behind me that I think are great. And I had to downsize my collection because, like I said, I didn't want to make this feel like a board game room. So the idea was, hey, I'm only going to put board games on this wall here, so it's not all over the place. And then the rest of the room, obviously, behind me and stuff, won't have any board games, because I could have obviously fit shelves and put this whole room into shelves like I had downstairs, but that's not what I wanted this room to look like. So I think this kind of worked out in my favor, and still got to keep a lot of games, and overall the flow of the house much improved. Can't wait till I have my first big party at the end of September to enjoy this room and enjoy the other room. Now, I'm not going to show you the other room here today, but I will tell you what is going on and end this video with that, so you guys can subscribe if you're not subscribed, and stay tuned, because it's not just these machines that went downstairs. I did buy new machines that went downstairs, or sold things to get other things that made more sense. And the room is much more open, and I'm really excited about it. But you guys know I had an arcade already in my other area as well downstairs. So I was trying to think, how do I differentiate these two rooms? So what's coming, and what you guys are going to see, is a new modern arcade. So there's going to be 2 arcades now downstairs in my game room. So if you guys have paid attention to this channel, I have the retro room on the left-hand side with all my retro games and stuff like that. I did a video on that this year. That's still exactly the way it was. Then there was the board game room that you guys have seen before in the middle. That is now going to be the modern arcade. And hint, hint, that's where you guys saw me review my pinball machines. But that whole room is now going to be a modern arcade. And then to the right of that room, there was always another room. And I was like, how am I going to differentiate these rooms? I don't want just another arcade. That's going to be the retro arcade where all the retro games live. So the idea is like my multi-cades and my newer modern games will be in the bigger room. And then the room that I had before that was, the arcades were in there, like the arcade 1-ups and some of the other games I have, will now be the retro arcades. So stay tuned for that video. I'm waiting for a couple things to come into there so we can wrap up that video. But it's coming along super, super nice. And I can't wait for people to see that as well. I'm not going to have both machines in time for the party, but I should have at least one. If all goes well, and I think people are going to be, blown away at what's down there and how much better it is than the way it used to be. So again, super happy with the way that this board game room / dining room here turned out. Much better. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Let me know if you guys think I should add anything to that TV wall, or if anything should change in this room at all, or if you like everything the way it is, then let me know that as well. But thank you guys for watching. Till next time.